Lua Nova Codes of Manifestation. Códigos de Manifestação Lua Nova.
Code 379. A vision board is just the blueprint. You are the spell. Bonjour, new moons. I am Josie the Mustang, the afro-latina Regina George of witches, and you're aligned with the frequency of the Lua Nova podcast. And before we jump into today's reading, and I am going to be talking to you about the new structure of Lua Nova for those who missed that announcement. I need to make something very clear, and it needs to be in the beginning of a recording. This podcast and my brand is called Lua Nova. Although Lua Nova from Portuguese to English means new moon, Lua Nova is the brand. That is the brand name. That is a proper name, something we learned in school. And it is not called New Moon. You would never look up New Moon to find me. That wouldn't make any sense. The website, luanovapodcast.net, is written as Lua Nova Podcast, not New Moon Podcast. I'm sure there is a podcast out there called New Moon. However, that's not the name of this podcast. That is not the name of my brand. And nowhere in anywhere have you ever found New Moon listed as the name of my brand. That makes zero sense. Now, why did I have to put this in the recording? Because, guys, I want you to understand something. There are people who are attorneys, who are the president, etc., and they're not very intelligent and they lack common sense. And so I am fine. I don't want you guys to think I'm in any legal trouble. I am not. However, did I have to get an attorney together because he lacks common sense? Absolutely. Absolutely. And what I notice about people who are easily ruffled is that they oftentimes don't realize that when you're talking to a witch, that you being easily ruffled is working in my favor because I'm using your energy. Because now I just got paid to tell all of my new moons what you did. So get ruffled all you want to. I hope you enjoy the show. But when I refer to my listeners as new moons, nowhere is that trademarked, because you could call your listeners whatever. You could just call them your listeners on the podcast that I was listening to earlier. What is Kev on Stage's podcast called? Here's the thing. I think his listeners, he calls them his stage crew because he's Kev on Stage. I think that's right. I actually still have a Patreon membership for his show, and I do listen here and there, but I think, yes, it's called, so I guess technically as a listener, I would be considered part of the stage crew, but I do like Kev on Stage a lot. And he's one of those Christians that I think is great at being true to his faith without pushing it on other people. But I call you my new moons because that's what Lua Nova translates to. However, whatever I call my listeners is not trademarked. I may change the name of what I call my listeners. I just think that it makes sense to call you my new moons because I think of you as scholars. I think of you as alchemists who are learning from me and many others on how to have the best life ever. Although I don't teach spell work, you're also even learning a little bit about what that looks like. And you're learning from an actual practicing witch who comes from a lineage of witches. So I think that that's important for my line of work. But I just wanted to make that clear that this brand, Lua Nova, will only ever be called Lua Nova. I will not be changing the name. That's why there's a trademark right next to it. I did purchase that trademark. I will not be calling it New Moon ever because that makes zero sense as a Brazilian American. That makes zero sense. It makes total sense why I named it Lua Nova, considering that I am Brazilian. Now, yes, I am also Mexican American. And yes, that actually ties a little bit into the name itself, because I knew that Spanish listeners would immediately see the name and also gravitate to it. So I wanted the Latin community to know that this was a safe space for us. Okay. But enough on my lineage. I think I tell you guys every single week about that. Let's talk a little bit about the updates to Lua Nova. Lua Nova, that's the name of the show and the brand. God, guys, you have no idea. This is why I teach manifestation, because there are complete idiots out here who are just doing whatever they want. They can't spell. They lack common sense. And you are doubting yourself? when you were dealing, do you not see the examples in front of you? If you live in the United States, keep in mind that the actual sitting president does not know the difference between Colombia and Colombia at all. One is a university. That's all I'm going to tell you. Look up the rest. I don't know why I would have to explain that. The same president doesn't know how to spell basic words. But I mean, I don't even know if that man can tie his shoes. So I need you to understand that there is nothing that you can't manifest. There is nothing that you can't manifest. So choose wisely and learn things. Why do people who want certain positions in life refuse to actually lead with intelligence? I don't know. Makes zero sense to me. Let's talk about the structure of Lua Nova going forward. So here's how it's going to go from now on. And I did talk about this previously, so feel free to skip forward a little bit. From now on, of course, all my episodes will remain every single Monday, but 1 week you're going to be getting the lesson in manifestation, and then the next week you will be getting your collective reading. That way I don't feel rushed. I don't feel as though, well, I have to get this reading done in the next 10 minutes. I can just take my time when it comes to my collective readings, especially now that I am taking less and less personal readings. I just don't have the time for it like I used to, and as my schedule grows and grows and grows and Lua Nova grows, I've got to make time for everything. So in order to give you the reading that I want to give you and not feel rushed, it's important to move the Lua Nova outline a little bit. Okay. Now, every single week I am still going to be doing the text from spirit. I could not think of the name of it, and the codes of manifestation. That's something I want to keep as weekly segments. Court of the New Moon is actually once a month, not twice a month. I wanted to fit it in twice a month, but to be honest with you, for time purposes, it's not going to work. Not with me having a weekly podcast. 2 podcasts just isn't going to work as a weekly thing. And although it seems like, well, that's only 2 episodes, yes, but me and the team, we really do take our time with choosing whatever the next case is. Now, the next case has been chosen, and this listener, we have already reached out to who she is and things of that nature, but I just wanted to give you guys an idea. Shout out to Lauren. That is the name of the person that will be mentioned in the next Court of the New Moon, case 002. We'll talk about that later, though. Okay, that is not for today. Today, we are going to be getting to your reading. So do me a favor, New Moons. Take a deep breath in. Roll those shoulders back and exhale the nonsense. Ooh, okay. Before I put you on a brief hold, tell me something. Tell me something. What questions do you have in your mind right now that you want to ask the tarot? Think about them for a moment. Okay? I'm going to give you a moment. Feel free to pause and think about your questions before you allow the reading to continue. So, 1 moment.
Lua Nova Collective Tarot Reading. By continuing to listen, you consent to having your cards read by Josie the Mustang. All collective readings are intended for a general audience and may or may not resonate with everyone. Visit luanovapodcast.net to book a personal tarot reading with Josie. Lua Nova Leitura Coletiva de Tarot. Ao continuar ouvindo, você consente que suas cartas sejam lidas por Josie the Mustang. Todas as leituras coletivas são destinadas a um público geral e podem ou não ressoar com todos. Visite luanovapodcast.net para agendar uma leitura de tarô pessoal com Josie.
Boop, boop. Okay, you thought about your questions? You know what it is that you want to ask the tarot? All right, Spirit, keep in mind that this reading is for my new moons and only for my new moons. I do not read reversals. If you are new to my show, I don't read reversals whatsoever. And as I've said many times throughout the years, my readings are for who they are for because this is not a personal reading. You can book personal readings with me by going to luanovapodcast.net. Okay? But let's see. I hope that your week is starting off well. I forget that you guys are listening to this on a Monday. It's being recorded before that, but I keep wanting to ask you, how's your day going? How's your week going? But I can only ask you how your day is going. So I hope your day is going well. I know Mondays are a busy time, so take a moment to relax and get into this reading. Starting off with, I had a feeling. 2 cards that came out at the exact same time. The Two of Swords and the Ace of Cups. And Spirit, let's clarify that card. Oh my God, the card's flying out. The Five of Swords. And Spirit, are you feeling drawn to any other cards for my readers? For my listeners. Okay. Not really. I'm not really picking up on anything else. Therefore, Spirit, let's just put this to the side and thank you for your help. Starting off with the Two of Swords. Now, what I already can tell, because I immediately saw somebody sitting at their desk. This has a lot to do with how you're feeling when it comes to your job. Because you don't see this job as a career. This is just it's almost like a pit stop. But I feel like you don't know that it's a pit stop. But it is. This is most certainly something that is meant to be an important lesson in your life, but it is only that. And I think that this feeling of, am I doing things the right way? Is this the right decision? The reason why it's so heavy on your mind is because 2026 just began, regarding the actual Gregorian calendar year. You, in your head, can't get out of your head, well, this is the beginning of January, so I should be here. And like I've said before, the actual new year begins in the spring. Your personal new year begins on your birthday. So this feeling of this, everything needs to be done now. Why haven't I met these goals by now? Why aren't I farther along? It has a lot to do with you being stuck in your head about the structure of time that you've been taught. Meaning that we're taught that by a certain age, we have to be married. We have to have a particular career. If you want children, you have to have it by a certain time, especially for women. And none of that applies. None of it does, because we've seen examples of people being perfectly happy without children. We've seen examples of people, maybe they never get married, or they've been married since they were in high school. We've seen examples of people with several children and they're very happy. They don't regret their decision to have several children. And we've seen examples of somebody who never chose a career, but they made whatever job they were at feel like home. And it's what fits their life. It's what fits them. But you are none of those things. Where you're at right now is not permanent. It is time for you to make the decision, and one that you're afraid you're going to regret, but you're not. But it is time for you to make a decision that is going to force you to leave your comfort zone. All of what's bothering you is only within your own head. No one else feels it but you. And it's not to say that it's not real and it's not valid, but it is very much so rooted in you are crippling your own decision. You're so afraid to move forward when it comes to your career that it is now beginning to affect other areas of your life. It's as though, well, it's a good job, and if I leave it in this job market, then what am I going to do? And I think to myself, well, I've taught you about limiting beliefs. Whatever it is you believe is true. It is. And so it is. So if you believe that it's going to be difficult, it will be. If you believe that there's no way that you could ever tap into the career that you actually wanted, there's no way you could figure out the career that is meant for you or what is meant for you, then you are correct. Because you're tying your career into why you've been put here on earth. And those two things do not coincide. Because Source does not see those things as being our reasoning for being here. So I want you to think of this, and you don't have to be religious to understand where I'm going with this. Because I'm obviously not religious, but when I talk of Source, that's how many of you refer to God. I believe that there is a source and many sources that are responsible for why we are here. This is why it's hard to explain. And therefore, there is this idea, once we have grown up in religion or just modern day society, that whatever our purpose is ties into our job and our career. And then this is oftentimes why you feel unfulfilled. And so the Two of Swords is telling me that that is how your mindset still is. That's where you're at. And so I want you to do the inner work to focus on why you still have that mentality. Where is it coming from? Is it coming from a learned experience? Is it that it's been beat into your head that, you know, you have to have a good job and you have to do this by this age, etc. And, you know, pretty much you ain't shit if you haven't met these goals by this age. Is that what it is? Or is it that you don't feel like you're actually living in your purpose? Because I don't think you are. I think anytime that I see the Two of Swords beginning a reading, that tells me that there's two different decisions here. But all of it is much easier than you're making it out to be. Yes, it's real. Your feelings are valid. Your fear is valid. However, your fear is what's holding you back, as that's what fear does. And so throughout our life, we're taught fear. We're taught to be afraid. We're taught to not think for ourselves. We're taught to not speak up. We're taught to not break the status quo. You got to follow along. You got to have this job. You got to do this. You don't have to, because this is not a good fit for you. Where you're at right now is not a good fit for you, and you knew that. And I think that when it comes to your personal relationships, that is going to keep bleeding into your personal relationships, your family, your romantic relationships, etc., because you're tying who you are into what your job is. And I want that to stop. Whatever it is that you're meant to do in your life, be a nurse, be an attorney, a teacher, a podcaster, etc., an influencer, whatever it is that you're meant to do has nothing to do with your purpose, because your purpose may be to help other people see what the good in themselves. Your purpose may be to right the wrongs of the world. Your purpose may be to be the next president. So it can connect to your job, but it's not necessarily your whole personality and your whole life. I want you to consider the people around you who you admire and how their personality is not based on just their job and just what it is that they do as a 9-to-5. Okay. And to confirm this is the Ace of Cups. Now, the reason why I had such a long message regarding the Two of Swords is that I knew that the Ace of Cups was behind it. I knew that that meant that, well, we got to go backwards a little bit here. We have to tap into that Libra energy of, let me give you both sides of the coin first before tapping into the Ace of Cups. Because in order for you to get to the Ace of Cups energy, what I need you to do is ask yourself the difficult questions. If you don't know what those difficult questions are, then I'll give you a few. Why do you feel as though you are incapable of moving forward right now? Why do you continuously put yourself down? What is it that you're actually wanting? And notice I'm going to leave that question open-ended. I didn't say, what are you wanting in life? What are you wanting in a relationship? No, what is it that you're wanting? And if your answer is something like, right now, I just want to take a nap. Right now, I just want to eat. I'm hungry. That's fine. You know what? You know why I asked you such an open-ended question? It's for you to start listening to yourself. A lot of what I teach is based on that. The more that you rely on listening to yourself, the stronger your intuition gets. The stronger your intuition gets, the more you begin to understand your purpose here. Because this whole reading is about your purpose. You seem to be struggling in that area. But that tells me, this Ace of Cups tells me that it is very much so temporary. Yes, it's valid. Your feelings are valid. However, the sooner that you begin to understand that the fear is not real, it may feel real, but it's not. It's not real. It's okay for you to move forward. Get that new job that you think eludes you. It doesn't. Move along in your relationship, because I definitely am feeling pulled to say that to somebody. And I immediately saw like a sky blue color. And that's very significant to what your significant other is wearing. I don't know if they're wearing it today, but I immediately saw it, and I just felt the need to say that because I think that you needed to know that. And I see the word, hold on. Hold on, spirit. I heard, what more do you need? What more do you want? So ask yourself that as well. What more do you need? What more do you want? Because I think that it's all in front of you. And many times tarot readers are told that we talk in riddles, because it's up to you to figure out what intuitively, what your own spirit guides keep trying to tell you. Now, I know it's frustrating. We get messages like 111, or we come across a tarot reader like myself that says, well, spirit says, what more do you want? I understand that. That is quite frustrating. But the more you begin to listen to your intuition and really tune into it, the more the messages from spirit begin to make sense. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes you're not going to understand the message until much later. But I need you to ask yourself, what more do you want? What are you needing? Even if right now it's just, hey, Josie, right now I just need a burger. We'll begin to listen to those needs. Okay, so that we can get to this Ace of Cups energy that was the next card pulled. All right. Now, something that I want to warn you about, because I see this as a positive and never a negative, is that in this transitional time of your life, I definitely feel this beginning for you around April. There will be people who cannot stand it, because they're going to see what I see as like an overnight change. Now, you and I know this is not overnight, but people that refuse to do any of the work to heal always have so much to say about everybody else. I'm going to give you an example, because this is what I'm seeing in this last card, this Five of Swords. Because think of yourself as the person in this Five of Swords who is very much so ready and willing to move forward, but you're surrounded by people who are bullies. I'm going to give you a personal example that I've heard recently. So this person came to me and told me about a family member that's been going through a lot. And I mean a lot. And everything out of their mouth was negative about this family member, based on previous negative interactions. Now, it's obvious to me from the outside looking in, and based on, my own practices, that intuitively I was picking up on, oh, you have a lot of jealousy issues toward this family member. And what I'm seeing is that you're almost celebrating that this family member is going through a difficult time. Little do you know, it's going to work in this person's favor, this family member's favor. So we're going to call the first person, person A. Person A is quite jealous of person B. Person B begins to go through quite a lot in their life. It seems like a tower moment of everything that could go wrong is going wrong. And for those who are not spiritually in tune, they think of it as a, aha, that's what you get moment. No, person B is going to do a lot of spiritual work. And because of it, they are going to actually end up in a much better place than they could ever imagine. They just don't know it yet. That's going to make person A seethe, because they refuse to heal. Now, unfortunately, when you are a spiritual person, as many of you relate to this, you will begin to notice that the most unhealed types gravitate to you, and they want to tell you all kinds of things. It's important that you keep those boundaries up, because what the Five of Swords is telling me is that those people are not going to be happy. You are person B. And so it seems as though you are about to have this tower moment and everything's going to fall apart. And I saw this at the end of season 3 during one of those readings, but it had to happen. It had to, Not because source punishes us. That's not at all how the universe works. The universe only responds to energy. The lessons that we learn sometimes are very painful and very difficult, just like I told you about my own grief. That grief was unexpected, but also expected. And just like many of you go through your own types of grief and your own types of difficult moments in your life, it seems as though it makes no sense. And there is no reasoning behind it. And there isn't. As human beings, even the most spiritual of us will never begin to understand some of the suffering that we have endured just to get where we are. And it's important now for you to push back. Not only because person A is who I see in this Five of Swords for you, your own person A, who is, for lack of a better term here, a hater. You have people who don't want to see you succeed. They are going to enjoy when you do finally have your moment where everything seems like it's crashing. Even if that moment is right now, I need to let you know. I need to hold your hand when I say this, and I'm going to hold it tight. This is not forever. That job that you despise, it's not forever. You had to learn that so that when you move into your career or when you move into another area of your life where everything just almost overnight seems to be going right, this reading will make sense to you. That relationship that seems stagnant, that you and I both know that person is the right person for you. Please stop. Because what you're going to end up doing is pushing this person away based on past relationships. That person is not your ex, okay? Maybe you need to do some cord cutting. I don't teach cord cutting on my show, but look into cord cutting spells. And I don't teach any spells on my show, but other than the cute little bubblegum spells that I've taught you previously. But I need you to be wary of some people that I'm feeling, and I really don't feel like it's a lot of people. I feel like it's 2 people maximum that just cannot stand that you have decided for yourself that you're not just going to sit stagnant and stay at the same boring job that you hate, doing the same thing and the same relationship and eating the same food and everything is the same. Yawn. Not anymore. Not for you. I see a lot better for you in your future. I think that if this reading resonated with you, you definitely need to book a personal reading with me. I don't have a lot of openings right now, but I do think that this is a reading where I'm getting a strong message. And I know when this message was meant for several people as opposed to just one. This is not meant for several people. This is meant for a tiny amount of you, where I'm feeling this. It's almost like you're just disgusted with your life. I need you to hang tight. This is temporary, okay? All right, new moons. That is your reading for this week. Let's see. One moment. Oh, we got a text from Spirit. And this week's text from Spirit says the following. Where did that card go? Because it kind of just... Okay, here it is. So I'm trying to pull it out. What the heck? Okay, these cards are wanting to come out together, so we're going to read both. 333, potential. Your chance to reach your highest potential is here. Perseverance has gotten you to where you are. You have been through so much, and this guidance is here to show you that you are exactly where you need to be. And the affirmation says, my potential is infinite. I used my strength as my ally to pursue my highest good. Now, again, that angel number is 333. So what did I just say in this reading? Right. And what did I tell you previously about when I picked your angel number for the week? That I have no idea what that card is going to say. I just shuffle it the same way I do tarot cards. And that's it. So the other card that came out with it is 999, self-love. Again, that is 999. The foundation of all love is self-love. The angels urge you to practice self-care and self-compassion, as this will lead to more fulfilling and harmonious relationships. All right. I definitely want you to tap in more into some self-compassion, because I think that you are being very difficult on yourself based on you feeling this need to have things done by a certain time in your life. So be a little kinder to yourself. Let's start that off this week, okay? All right, new moons, it's time to wrap it up. Obrigada, new moons, for aligning with the frequency of the Lua Nova podcast. And again, this podcast is called Lua Nova. This brand is called Lua Nova. If you would like to book a personal tarot reading, if you want to submit your questions or read the entire disclaimer, which that disclaimer will remain up forever, then make sure that you are checking the show notes. That way you can find the Lua Nova podcast official website as well as the official website for Court of the New Moon. Court of the New Moon airs once a month on Wednesdays. And if you would like to submit a case, go to courtofthenewmoon.com. You're going to hear all of this information again in a second. Have a safe rest of your week and reach out to me. Tell me how this reading resonated with you, because this was a reading where the message came in strong. There was nothing that I needed to hold back on. I felt like, nope, this is a message for somebody and they need to hear this right away. So next week, new moons, we're going to be talking about vision boards and, are we going to be talking about vision boards, or am I planning to make that its own episode? I do have an episode about vision boards way back in season 1. So I actually will likely just make vision boards its own separate thing. But next week, actually, we're talking about rituals. So if you threw lentils on yourself, by the way, are you still picking up lentils? I am. What a time. And if you, by the way, a card just fell out of my tarot deck as I was putting it away, and it is the Fool. And what is the Fool in tarot, guys? The beginning of the story. So you're at the beginning. The Fool's journey is a fun one. So hang on tight. I love when I see that card. But we're going to be talking about rituals. This idea that you have to do certain rituals in order to have a prosperous year, in order to get married, etc. You can create your own rituals. That's going to be the point of the episode. You can, of course, go with all of these rituals that already existed, but you can create your own. So I would love to also know, feel free to reach out and let me know, have you done any rituals, such as, did you eat 12 grapes? Did you know that you don't have to go under a table to do that? Did you run down the street with your luggage? I didn't run, but I did walk with my Hello Kitty overnight bag. What did you do? Do you have your own rituals that you want to share with me? I would love to hear all about that. Have a safe rest of your week. Hug your loved ones tight, especially your pups, okay? More and more lately, I've been having puppy fever. If you guys know a great place that I can find a reputable breeder for smaller breeds, then reach out to me. I don't want to reveal too much about the smaller breed that I have in mind. I am going to tell you it's likely not a Pomeranian. I don't want to have a Hoshi 2.0. Hoshi is his own entity. He's pretty much his own brand. And I don't think I could handle another Pomeranian. I think it would be too sad for me. So I am looking at small breeds again. I do already have his name picked out. His name is also based on a tarot card. I wonder if you guys can guess which card it is. If you said the Magician, no, because my Mustang is named Magic. So he's kind of already named after a tarot card as well. But I would love to know your thoughts. Reach out to me. I love getting your feedback. I know that the 6th house Virgo segment, that you all think that I've forgotten about it. There's just so much going on, guys, that I don't know how to fit in everything. And the thing about being a creative person is that you want to fit everything into every single episode and every single project, and that's not realistic. For instance, before we go, I forgot to mention this, and I've been meaning to for I don't know how many episodes now. I talked about that I would do an episode on what we can learn about manifestation based on dark romance novels. But then I realized that could be quite triggering for people who are maybe not there yet, because dark romance novels can have some very dark themes that not everybody's comfortable with. And so I have put that on the back burner. I do listen to a ton of audiobooks. This is not an ad, but when I say a ton of audiobooks, I mean every week I'm listening to a minimum of probably 3 a week, just audio alone. And I can't, and I mean long audiobooks, really long. I like the long ones. I don't like short stories. Give me a minimum of 8 hours. Okay. But you know what? I just thought about it. It's probably way more than 3 books a week. Maybe 4 or 5. I don't know. Anyway, but once I can restructure how I want to do that episode, it will pop up again. I don't know if it will be this season. One thing I'm going to stop forcing is by this season I have to do this series and I have to talk about this. Nope, we're not going to be doing that anymore. It is going to be based on what I think needs to be taught that week or needs to be discussed in a series or just in general. Okay. So if you can hear that wind, it is about to blow me away. I'm just joking. But I do have a ton that I need to do, and there's some emails that I need to get back to with my team. So I have to run, but have a safe rest of your week, new moons. Let me grab my witch's broom and I'm out. Ciao, ciao. To book a personal tarot reading with me, submit your question for the 6th House Virgo segment, and your question just might be read right here on the show. Or read the full disclaimer on spiritual consent and listener responsibility. Visit luanovapodcast.net. To submit a case for Court of the New Moon, go to courtofthenewmoon.com. If you would like to become a Patreon member, download the Patreon app or go to patreon.com/the Luanova Podcast. Support is also appreciated, so I want to thank you for those of you who always send in donations, and you can do so via Venmo or Cash App. The Venmo username is @Luanova. The Cash App username is $Luanova Podcast. Copyright 2025 Luanova. All rights reserved.